Welcome to February 2013 Video Minutes for Smart Utah County Coalition. First things first, we want a little review of some of the activities that we've had in the past month. We had a rally for recovery on February 12th up at the Capitol involving some of the members of Addicts to Athletes, one of the partners that we have with the Smart Coalition. Also on February 22nd, some of our members attended the UVU Addiction Conference. Now, in our upcoming month, April, we have a couple things that we want you all to be aware of. On April 13th, we have our Household Hazardous Waste Day, and that's going to be down at the Provo Town Center Mall, and it runs from 9 to 3. It's a drive-through drop-off your hazardous waste, and we're going to be having a booth there where we're going to be collecting prescription drugs. And also on April 27th, we have the official National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. So we're going to have events lined up all over Utah County at different locations. So we're looking forward to a really excellent event that day as well. However, the event that everybody needs to have on their calendar is our Coalition Retreat. March 3rd is when it's going to be at 6 p.m. and we're going to do this out in Mapleton at the Red Barn. So get ready for some good times and a chance for everybody to get together in a relaxed setting to chat about our goals and what we're planning on doing for the next year. So be there or be square. It's going to be a good time. Now on to February, all the issues involved with that. First of all, our member recognition this month is Gretchen Devine. She has been influential in our activities here at SMART, and particularly with her work on the Smart Teen Provo Coalition, or task force, I guess, because her voice has been very valuable as we've worked to develop a plan for implementing some activities at the Dixon Middle School area involving the STOP Act grant that we have applied for recently. So thanks to Gretchen for being an outstanding member of SMART and for being actively participating in a good cause here. All right, also, just to recap here, our very own Kai Nordfeld traveled to Washington, D.C. at the beginning of the month to receive the CADCA Advocate of the Year Award. He's done wonderful things for us, and Kai would definitely want everyone to know that he's very grateful, because SMART's activities aren't centered around him, they're centered around the collective effort of everyone that's involved. And this award would not have been possible without everybody's input. So thanks to everyone who's been involved in our activities. And speaking of advocacy, the 2013 legislative session has been going strong through all of February, and it definitely put our advocacy efforts to the test here. In fact, at the beginning of our community board meeting, Pat Bird of the Department of Drug and Alcohol Prevention and Treatment informed us all of a few items of legislation that we've had to keep our eyes on throughout the month. And a couple of those we'll discuss right here. First of all, there's the Senate Bill 167 introduced by Senator Valentine. And what this does is it creates a master license or makes them available for chain stores such as Chili's or Buffalo Wild Wings, so that instead of having to buy a separate alcohol license for each individual store, a chain like that could buy one license under which they would have a minimum of 5 outlets or 5 stores. So what this effectively does is increases the number of outlets available and returns those licenses that had previously been used by the individual stores back into the pool. So this is actually kind of a double hit to our efforts to reduce the availability of alcohol in Utah. Also, we have HB, or House Bill 228 from Representative Wilcox. And this is quite simply is trying to remove the Zion Wall or the Zion Curtain. And that is a legislation that currently exists in Utah, and it effectively removes the area of preparation for alcoholic beverages or the storage of alcohol in restaurants, so that the clients or the clientele, the people who go to the restaurants, are not exposed to the alcoholic beverage and the advertising that does for the alcohol industry. So, out of sight and out of mind is the idea behind Zion Curtain. It is well known that exposure increases the likelihood for youth abuse of alcohol. So we definitely want that one to stick with us. Now this one's an excellent bill. This is one we're for all the way, and this is House Bill 136 from Representative Draxler, and this involves the alcohol tax. Called for a 4.65% increase in the alcohol tax, particularly beer tax, and that revenue would be going to support enforcement. Now, that's not necessarily ideal. We know that enforcement isn't really going to be the fix-all for this problem. We'd rather see that going into prevention efforts or community support and community coalitions. But this is definitely a step in the right direction. It is proven that increase in alcohol taxes reduce consumption, particularly the dangerous consumption and underage consumption. So we definitely hope to see some movement with that, if not this year, then in the next few years. And obviously those bills will be continued in next month as the legislative session winds down in March. All right, as another part of our community board meeting, we talked about the RX Take Back events and confirmed the sites and coordinators for those events, and also put out a plea to find as many volunteers as we can to help staff these events so that we can have as effective a day as possible in that regard. Also, we had Dean Barley from our coalition give a presentation on the BYU Comprehensive Clinic where he works. Dean is a psychologist that works at BYU, and he let us know a little bit about the services they offer at the BYU Comprehensive Clinic. Now, obviously they offer a variety of services from marriage counseling to family services. And one of the benefits of the BYU Community Clinic is that they are open to everybody. It's not just BYU associated people, and the cost is much more affordable, especially for people on low income or anything. So this is a really great resource, and if you have any questions or would like to access this resource, you can call the number there, 801-422-7797. Hopefully we'll be able to support Dean and his work there, and hopefully his resource will be useful for some members of our coalition and the people we know who are struggling with the psychological effects of drug and alcohol abuse. All right, in February we also saw a lot of advocacy efforts up on the Hill. As we mentioned a couple times this month, we went up to visit with representatives such as Representative Aldridge, Representative Draxler, and quite a few others in order to discuss some of the concerns we have about their positions toward alcohol and other prescription drug abuse. But I think the best thing that we found there was that we have some strong support if we are willing to reach out and activate that support. So we definitely need to make our voice heard and get in contact with all of our representatives. But we also need to spend time developing those relationships, building friendships with them, so that when we need our voice to be heard, they will definitely hear us out and try to understand our positions. Because we found out very quickly that sometimes ideological differences create an impassable barrier unless we can become friends. So let's enhance our efforts, increase our efforts, and put our shoulder to the wheel there as we try to influence our public policy involving alcohol and prescription drugs. Speaking of prescription drugs, another effort that happened this last month was at the Controlled Substances Advisory Committee, where Dan and Daryl were involved in presenting to the committee the issue of tramadol. Now, tramadol is a muscle relaxant and common pain medication that is used throughout the nation. And what Dan has seen in particular as a pharmacist and Daryl as a law enforcement officer, they've seen that tramadol has become more and more abused. People are after their prescriptions and shopping for it more often. So what they would like to see is for it to be made a controlled substance so that we can track what's happening and perhaps move it up the schedule to where it ought to